you like to start? Would you like to do it anyways?
Not really. Because I'm in and out.
Okay.
Okay.
Agenda is Council on Aging reorganization. We're supposed to review and approve the van policy and the van driver description,
Correct.
and then the director's job
Yep.
duties.
So, there are copies, yeah, I'll take that, thank you. So there are copies of the van driver description and the policies, and these have been sent out for everybody to review. Is there any conversation or comments
Is
from
that the
anybody?
van, that's the transportation, Bob, do you want?
I do know, I do want to just mention for a second that Peggy Sardell did mention some comments to me that I just want to read quickly. I've been comparing the driver policies and procedures with the position description for the COA van driver. The description mentions ability to follow a routing schedule, while the policies make no mention of following a schedule. Additional stops after the requested and scheduled stop. There have also been multitude times where the riders have contacted the scheduled drivers rather than go through the dispatcher. Also, the description mentions driver will be responsible to see that all receipts for tolls, parking, or other incidents, plus the cash box and daily log will be turned into the director's office at the end of each day's activity. I would think that responsibility should be included in the policies and procedures. So I do agree that, so one of the things that came up when I first started this position was I was left a bill, a small bill. It was like $3.50, I think it was, for a toll. And although I don't mind, and I didn't mind at the time paying the toll, but I also feel like at some point, so we do drive all over the counties. I do feel like that any additional tolls that we should go through, whether it's the highway or something like that where it costs us additional money, that I do feel that the passenger should pay for those additional fees because they're not paying for gas, they're not paying for our services or anything else like that. So paying for any additional tolls, because at the end of the day, we could go across forever.
Will they know that beforehand?
Yes, so it's one of the things, and of course, for all of our riders that we have and had that use it all the time, we will keep letting them know, because I know that they forget. So there's not gonna be any penalties or anything like that, but I feel like some things need to be instituted so we're all on the same page. And again, like I said, I have no problem taking people to Boston, or if we have to go through, the tolls or anything like that, but I think within reason, so it doesn't come out of our expenses. So that is just something that I brought up to Peggy, going forward, if somebody's going to do that, we don't ask for any other money for driving. But if those are gonna be the expenses that we accrue, that at some point, passengers should be responsible for those fees.
Are they asked to give donations?
So if they want to give a donation, that is up to them. Sometimes we do get them, sometimes we don't. It all depends in the rider, right, Peg? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where the ambulance used to work.
I have one other comment.
Go ahead.
Since that I've gotten this new one, the van policies and procedures. On the last page, it mentions transportation services must be within our service area. What is our service area?
So that is something that we have to figure out. So what page,
The last page.
oh yeah, the last page is the draft part.
I got mine.
So we are originally talking because there are things that could change if we get a van and they don't allow us to go to Hudson. Remember I told you they were talking about different counties that we might not be able to go to? But that was something else that goes along with the tolls. Like at what point do we say we're not going that far? So we have to figure out what is our radius going to be. So our drivers kind of know what to expect.
If
So
you go
that-
to Boston, I mean, you're pretty much going anywhere.
Right, well, and that's just it. So right now, we don't have any limitations at all.
Well,
we go to Boston?
We've always told people that we don't go to
I
Boston.
don't think we can.
But we did that one time, they went into Framingham.
No, we've done that before.
Right, right. So I think I think we need to make judgment calls about like when they
Case by
call.
case.
Right, case by case on where they're going. If somebody has a real medical need that they have to go to an appointment that is, you know, they can only go to
Specialist,
Boston, you know, we can make a special trip for
Well,
that.
somebody had asked me about going into Boston, but it would be every day for a month. And I said, that would be time with the whole van.
Yeah. That wouldn't be
I
possible.
would think that's an inconvenience.
Margaret?
That sounds like a good opportunity for the Council on Aging to work on a policy regarding service area. And I also should note that I'm meeting with WRTA, the designated awardee for the monies that were put in this year's state budget for the COA van. So I'm meeting with the executive director of WRTA and our state rep in about 2 weeks. And we're going to work out the concerns that the town had expressed regarding limitations
Right.
on the regional
Right.
transit. So we're gonna work through that and make sure that we can get into Middlesex County.
Okay. Yeah, because that's one of the reasons why I submitted the forms, because half of our clients or, you know, residents do go outside of this region. So, so that wouldn't work for us, and we want to be able to, you know, give them what they're requesting. So so with Peggy's concerns on that, are there any other concerns or suggestions or comments?
Two.
Bob?
Two.
Two.
One, several times in here, you say people will be shot if they don't adhere to the requirements of each of these chapters, and then it says so again at the end. Why don't we just leave it at the end? It sounds pretty hostile to have it 3 or 4 times during the listing of duties and responsibilities.
Have its own bullet point at the bottom.
Of a failure to.
No bullets.
that-
Oh, no, I don't mean bullets, I mean, well,
Well, he said people would be shot.
right? Yeah, so I probably should.
So consistent.
Yep. I know you and I have spoke about it. Where specifically,
Anytime it pops up, except at the end.
Failure to sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth
Fifth
bullet
one.
point, failure to maintain a professional driver passing may lead to discipline.
okay,
And then in the next bullet point, failure of a driver to wear a seatbelt may lead to discipline.
Yeah, there was like 3 or 4, I think.
okay. All valid, yep, okay.
And the other observation I've heard from someone is that the requirement that the driver comes back here between calls is, I mean, to do what? The person just sits there and
So one
reads a
of,
good book? Or
right, so one of the things that I'm kind of working with Peggy right now, while I am working with Peggy, is to try to figure out when, in fact, when and where are we going to have the van go out Monday through Friday? To look at specific needs. Right now, we have a gentleman who's on dialysis who really needs the van on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So one of the things that we were thinking is on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we do medical appointments and any other appointments that could fit in. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, it would be, you know, something in town or a market basket, something relatively close by. So at least we know where the van drivers are gonna be, and hopefully we can kind of have more people on the van at one time instead of being sporadic throughout the day. Like last week, we had a request come in, somebody wanted a ride at 4:45. That's just a little late to be on Route 9 in Shrewsbury with a van, you know, so we need to ask people to, you know, schedule their appointments before 2 o'clock on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays if they're able, and we will do our best to accommodate. But at least this way, especially with the new driver coming on, we have more of a clear rule, if you will, clear policy of where they're going to be and at what time, because we want to keep track of their hours too. We don't want to go over. Yes, Martha.
So one of the things that has been problematic is that when there is a run and then there is a lag time in between, the driver is actually being paid full wages to go back home, do whatever
Right.
they need to do their yard work. And so maybe there's something that we can look at with other transportation agencies or other councils on aging where they pay a lesser number of wages, kind of similar to on-call wages, where you're not actively doing your work, you're sitting, waiting to do your work. So
Right.
maybe that's something that you could look at. That's been problematic because we're spending the same amount on wages for the actual trips being made, regardless of where they're from and to, and the downtime between trips. So that's something that would help keep your budget in check as well.
And Clinton COA has offered for us, if they have room in their schedule, to also take residents from Berlin to their rides, wherever they need to go, if they can fit them in.
We are part of the Clinton Dial-A-Ride program, so that's available to the town.
I'm not sure how that affects what I was talking about, which is you get done taking somebody to Marlborough Hospital,
Right.
and now it's gonna be 3 hours before the person's ready to be picked up. They come back here and sit for 3 hours, or they sit in the van for 3 hours, or they go
So,
someplace else for
and
3
see,
hours.
that is where it comes into COA dispatch responsibility to try to get those rides as close together as we can, so we're better utilizing our drivers, so they're not just sitting around, and so we're not paying for lost time. So that's where we need to work a little harder and work with the people that are making the appointments to try to get those appointments as close together as possible. We have to do a better job of that going forward, and it's easier to do that when we have a clearer policy. And I know for the folks that have been riding the van, you know, for years now, they're used to it a certain way, so we are going to like work with them and make sure that, you know, we ease them into the new changes.
I know there's one person that takes the van weekly, and there's an hour between, you know, when she gets there and when she needs to be picked up, and it's a half an hour from here to there.
Yep.
So coming home and going back,
So something that the
And
all
putting in more
riders,
mileage,
right, well, something
actually.
that all riders need to expect is that if there's more than themselves on the bus, they could be waiting a half an hour or 45 minutes with somebody else. I know of a resident in town who just likes going on the bus just to go for a ride to get out of the house. So, you know, that person really doesn't mind, and they're not going anywhere specifically. They have literally just asked, can I go for a ride? And I don't have a problem with that. You know, so again, it just has to be expected that some people might be sitting on the van for a certain amount of time. And if they want a ride, that's kind of the sacrifice that they have to make.
So how's the driver now paid? Paid for the length of time between the first pickup and the
Yes.
last drop-off?
Yes. Yep, so it doesn't start and stop again. It doesn't do it that way. So what we want to do, so what I would like to see is that the van, say, leaves town, if you will, by 8:30. It will start trips at 8:30 in the morning, and say your last scheduled trip no later than 2 o'clock. So at least we know that everybody's back, it's a safe hour, we know where the van should be, and it's a better way of keeping track of the driver and the payroll and everything else like that.
May I say something?
Yep.
It doesn't always work that way. Say that the dialysis patient is the only one for that day.
Yeah.
And he goes in at 9:30. He doesn't have to be picked up again until 2 o'clock. So the drivers have been just charging for the time to take him there and get back to town, and then go back to, not the whole.
Right.
Not charge for the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's only if there's more stuff going on in between.
Okay, because I thought that I had seen a few where there was charges for the entire period.
They were.
There is, if there's other ones
Right.
in between.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but generally, that gentleman, sometimes, again, just like she mentioned, it's just in the morning, and then the van comes back, and then they have to go back and get it. And one of the problems that we've been faced with is sometimes when the people are picked up, they decide, hey, can I stop there? Hey, can I stop there? And then it turns into a few more rides that weren't initially scheduled.
We had good people this week.
So we've been pretty lenient with everybody because, you know, we had George that was driving who knew everybody. So, you know, it's that point where, of course, you're going to do that. But the policies will change a little bit going forward.
So how much time between drop-off and expected pickup time or the next assignment is a reasonable amount of time not to have the driver
Well, I would say, you know,
go someplace and then pick the other person up half an hour later, as opposed to going from Marlboro back to here, and then the next one is whatever.
Well, I mean, I would say that as soon as the driver leaves, they're gonna start being paid by the hour, $14.99. We're not gonna have them clock out if there's a half an hour downtime. We'll have them go back. So then it would be whenever that driver is done. So, but if there is 3 hours in between where they have to go get picked up, then their hours would start again. And that is part of the job description, and that's part of, like, when I interview somebody, they're gonna have to know that, or they, because I've also been thinking about doing a Monday, Wednesday, Friday driver and a Tuesday, Thursday. That way, you know, people aren't guessing what their hours are going to be all day, but that's kind of what comes with this position. And I don't know, I mean, it's, you just gotta, like school buses, for instance, they get paid in the morning as soon as they leave, and they get paid whenever they drop the bus off. Then they go back again at 1:30, 1:45, if you will, and then they, you know, drop off again at 4:30. So they too get paid for, you know, varied hours. Other than those comments, are there anything?
Excuse me, Holly,
Yep.
it's absurd, and I'm sure you know that other councils on aging and senior centers have those policies in place. Do you, I'm sure there are plenty of templates that you can look at to develop a policy.
I do have one from when I met with the Sharon COA a few weeks ago. What they do is the same thing. They do certain, like, medical days on certain days. Fridays are their short days. Fridays, they only run the bus from 9 to 12, because they, although they have a bigger population, their bus rides are kind of like ours. They're a little bit scattered. So instead of just allowing the bus to just be all over the place at once or all of the time, they have very strict guidelines that people are expected to follow. And once people who use the bus or the van know that, okay, well, I know on Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays, I have to schedule my doctor's appointment between 9 and 2. You know, eventually, I think everybody will kind of, you know, get used to that. And like I said, we're gonna work with everybody who uses it, because right now we have, what, 9 or 11 people that frequently use the van rides. So we'll make sure that they're accommodated.
Just one other sort of off-the-wall question. You referenced the Regional Transit Authority. Doesn't the Regional Transit Authority in some cases provide not only the van but the driver?
Yes, so that was done in the past for the town, and for various reasons, it just didn't work out.
Like what?
Poor communication back and forth is what I was told from them about a year ago. And so basically what they told me was once we had a plan in place and we had things better worked out, they'd be interested in talking with us again, is what they said.
And that's going to be part of our conversation when I speak with the state rep and the executive director at WRTA in a couple of weeks. We're going to talk about that as a possibility.
Right.
We have to be sure that we have the flexibility to use the van
Right.
how we need to use the van.
Any other questions, comments? So if there are, here I am leading it for you, Fran, but if there are no other questions or comments, can the board make a motion?
Move that we accept the driver's policies and procedures as amended. Or have they not been amended?
They haven't been amended.
Once amended?
Yes.
Once
That's
amended.
amended.
That's with those bullets.
Yeah.
That we're using that.
Amended and commended, yes.
I'll second that. All in
Fran, do you want to do
favor?
the next one?
Aye. Those opposed? The next one is to review the job description duties of the COA director, who's Holly.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why that one got on here again, because I believe that we spoke about this one 2 months ago, so unless there are any questions or comments.
Do we have a printout?
I did print some out. I think here's one right here. I printed out 6. I don't have any of my own. Although I have plenty of my own.
Four copies and I'll send them out with the minutes.
Oh, I think I don't. Oh, you don't? I think so. No, well, yeah, I do. You want to share with me? Not anymore? Okay.
I'll send a copy out with the minutes if
Who
you
doesn't
want.
have one?
I got this.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody got a copy that wants one?
I think so.
Do you remember when this was handed out? What month even?
Well, I mean, it would have been handed out when I first started here, so that was a year ago, 2 weeks.
Is it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and periodically, like, I mean, I think it came out a few times.
I've just always been unsure what our function is regarding you and what your function is regarding us.
Well, I think that's been an ongoing wonder. So I know that I report to the board, but I also report to, well, I was reporting to the Board of Selectmen, but now I report to Margaret.
And there was another lady at the table, I don't know her name to put down on the guest list.
Oh, she's the videographer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what her name is.
But do you have a name or
We'll find out.
we don't?
Margaret?
If I could weigh in too, so the Council on Aging is similar in some respect to the Board of Selectmen with my position. So the Board of Selectmen is a policy body, like the Council on Aging is a policy body. I'm responsible to the Board of Selectmen for the day-to-day administrative functions of the town. Holly would be responsible for the administrative day-to-day functions of the Council on Aging through the COA's policy guidance. So when you're sitting here looking at policies, you're developing the umbrella, which will kind of oversee Holly's administrative duties on a day-to-day basis. So I don't know if that really clarifies things for you, but Holly in this job description actually does have some significant responsibilities on a day-to-day basis. Can I add? So a few of those that I've underlined for Holly's responsibilities would be under supervision. She is responsible for conducting service programs, managing the finances of the Council on Aging, supervising employees, supervising bus and Meals on Wheels drivers, and employees in the town's tax work-off program, managing the Council on Aging's transportation program. This is under essential functions. Responsible for the operations of the Meals on Wheels program, responsible for organization and coordination of health clinics and nutritional programs. She's responsible for preparing and submitting grant applications and administering the grants that are received by the Council on Aging. Preparing and administering the annual budget of the Council on Aging in consultation with the COA, of course, and doing annual reporting to the Executive Office of Elder Affairs. So she does, I don't want to say she has a lot of latitude, but she has a lot of responsibilities on a day-to-day
I
basis.
can see that, and that makes me wonder what our responsibilities are.
Policy direction.
I have no idea what
Melon
that means.
beer. So you just actually adopted the driver policies and procedures. That's one. The Berlin COA, I'm sorry. You just talked in that discussion, you talked about developing a policy on what constitutes a service area. Needing a policy on van driver downtime. These are all things that Holly would bring back to the board for discussion.
Anybody got any questions on that?
Okay, I don't think we had to vote on that. I think it was just a discussion, because I believe that we've already voted on it.
I thought we had two, but I don't know the date.
I mean, we can certainly vote on it again just to make things crystal clear, if somebody wants to.
I'd rather have no vote needed at this time. And we probably need to discuss it more in the future.
That job description was, it did go through the Council on Aging and then was approved by the Board of Selectmen and Personnel Committee,
Okay.
what was it, July of
I
2018.
was gonna say, before you hired.
Right.
Is when we did this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's been a year.
Okay. So all we need to do is discuss it as we have.
Yep.
Okay. And carry on.
Yep.
Discussion regarding future meetings of the COA with the Berlin seniors.
Yeah, and none of which are here tonight, as you can see, but, I mean, it's the same thing that we've been discussing now for a few months, that the Berlin seniors really want to work closely with the Berlin Council on Aging.
You say none of who is here? None of Berlin seniors?
Well, I forgot that you're on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, but typically, Louise is here, or Judy attends these meetings where they're not.
They were aware of it. Yes.
Well, I would guess, I mean, it's posted.
Of today's meeting, yeah.
Yeah,
Louise
this is our
actually sent me
regular-
some
yeah.
materials, which I have.
Right, and I did read some of those materials. So their concern, or, their desire is to become a larger entity with us, of course. And as we had discussed at the last meeting, was the best way for them to do that with us would be to become a Friends of group. I think you remember talking, because it's, they have fantastic things that go on each month, and their concern was, if they became a Friends of group, that they wouldn't be able to do that, which isn't exactly the case. We just have to be careful where the funds are going if that happens. So hopefully one day, sooner than later, that does happen, and we can sit down as a group, or we can break up into a subgroup and talk about how to make that work, and to bring more events to the seniors in Berlin.
Yeah, I think my view on it, as a member of both groups, and also of Northbrook One, is that it would be useful to have laid out all of the services being requested and being offered in town, and seeing how the various players can help one another,
Right.
provide them without replication, without turf wars, and without conflict, and
Exactly.
so forth.
Exactly. The only part that came into conflict was the fact that the Berlin Seniors asks for dues, whereas the COA does not. So that was really our biggest conflict by joining the two as they are right now. And we did mention that, if they have events where it's specified that they're asking for dues, and say it's held by the Friends of, well, any money that goes into the Friends of would become the money of COA. Right. So, but that doesn't mean that with that money that we can't have events and continue to do the luncheons that they provide, because they're fantastic luncheons with great entertainment every single month. So that doesn't mean that we can't go forward. There are just some limitations that we have. We can't just give them money to have bigger entertainment and things like that. It doesn't work that way.
Are they still going to require dues?
So this year, they are still requiring dues.
See, we don't pay dues.
Right. Well, because we serve the entire
Entire
community.
town.
So the people that join the Berlin Seniors, that's a different organization.
Exactly.
And they can still pay those dues over there, but once if they become Friends of, it becomes the money of COA. And then everybody has the right to say where that money goes, not just the Berlin Seniors anymore. So that they do lose some of the things that they have worked really hard for. So, it's something that they have to think about.
So say that money was transferred to the COA, that money at this point is used in part to fund some of the entertainment that isn't covered by a grant from the
Correct.
Arts Council or whatever.
Why would people pay dues?
So they pay dues in that small organization because that helps them pay for their entertainment, because they're not part of the COA. So the COA, we can have events and programs just like we had the luncheon and we had some entertainment, so we can have those. But we have to be careful of our expense account, because we can't afford to have them every single month.
But we don't pay for lunches.
No, we do
We
not.
supply the town with money
Right.
for their lunches. Whereas when they have a luncheon, if you're not there and you don't get a lunch, you don't pay.
Right.
Whereas that's never been an option for us.
Right, so
We
right-
have always.
Right. So right now, they're a separate group from the COA. So they ask for the dues that help pay for the lunches, and it helps pay for their entertainment. If they should become a Friends of, that money then is part of the COA, it is Friends, so, but the Friends of, they help govern where that money is going to be spent. So then we have to work collaboratively, all of us, and figure out what kind of events are we gonna have, and where is the money gonna go? And then we don't ask for dues anymore, that goes away. That goes away, but it doesn't mean we can't ask for donations.
I suggested that they have different kind of, these friends of the seniors. I suggested that they do a cake, selling cakes, do a small gathering at Christmas, sell things like
Right.
the fair used to sell. And that's what some towns do with their seniors.
Yep. And that's what, the Friends of are allowed to fundraise. As a department, we are not allowed to do that, but the Friends of can. And then they get to issue where they want the money, or where we all want the money to go, but we have to work collaboratively with them. You know, there's a fine line of what is allowed, what they're allowed to do and what we're allowed to do. But the thing is that they're allowed to do the things that we're not allowed to do, because we're not supposed to fundraise. There are different ways to accept donations and sponsors and things like that. We just have to be careful of, you know, the words that we use. So that's where we are with the Berlin seniors right now.
So where does the COA's funds for entertainment, say, come from?
So, well, we pick, so for instance, now I've only been here a year, but we had the picnic luncheon, and then we also did the volunteer luncheon. And I believe that we missed a Christmas one last year because I was still kind of greasing the wheels. So this year we'll get together another Christmas one, and we can do entertainment. And the great thing about being in this building is now at least we have the space. And the space is free for us, and that's fantastic.
And when we had our Christmas luncheon, we don't do entertainment. Somebody always brings a CD player and plays the music, because we have they carve our turkey right here.
Well, what I'm hoping for this year, because I've already been working with Tohoto really close, is that if we do a Christmas one and we do it upstairs, say, that the band can come and play a little bit of music and, you know, make it a little more of a fun event, you know? So, and like I said, I feel like we're blessed to have this building here and to be able to use it for programs and things like that. But that's where we are. So, you know, Christmas is just around the corner, so we'll have to start thinking about that too. And Pat, you know, I'll work with you, because again, last year we didn't do it, but I would love to get one on the books and see what we have available. Excuse me, what is your name?
Brittany
Brittany.
Blaney.
We just need to put it in our agenda.
Sure. Brittany Blaney Anderson. I'm with Berlin Cable Access.
Thank you.
Yep.
So moving on, so I have the treasurer reports. So the COA expenses are $10,000, $575.13.
Where does that go on here?
So that we're on the treasurer's report.
That's-
For
okay,
number
but Under
2.
what account are you talking about?
So this one is the expense account.
And there's nothing that says expense account?
There is nothing that's fit, so we have to add that on.
All right, expense.
So again, $10,575.13. Oh, okay, Peg's got it. I'm just gonna read it out loud so everybody can hear. Donations is $4,720.10. Part-time wages is $17,870. Part-time wages director is $15,389.33. Now, that is an estimated number, only because I made a mistake when I did the budget, and I only budgeted myself for 19 hours instead of 19.5. And Margaret, I'm not even sure where, according to Peg, I'm not sure where we are with that, because I thought that was supposed to go to the finance committee or the personnel committee.
I'm sorry,
To fix my, remember when my wages instead went from 19 and a half to
Yes.
19?
So where we had last left it was that through the grant funding,
Yeah.
that you were gonna be about $850 short at
Okay.
the end of this fiscal year. So we decided not to do a reserve fund transfer because you're gonna see a shortage very close to the end of the fiscal year.
Yep.
And you were going to look into whether the formula grant
Oh, right.
would absorb that $850.
And it would be able to, it definitely would be able to, and we'll have more this year. Oh, and then one more, the Article 20 bus repairs, there is $2,779.91. So Fran, what do we have? We have old business. I do have some new business, so I just want to let everybody know that a couple weeks ago, I did a couple-hour training here for the new software, My Senior Center, and I love it. So what I've been trying to do is plug in some of the things that we've been doing since July 1st, going back on who's done rides, on what days, which, as you can imagine, takes a little bit of a time. But it is up and running, and hopefully by the fiscal year 21, what it's supposed to do is generate all the information that I need and kick out my formula grants so I don't have to sit there for hours and weeks on end. So I'm very excited for that. Because now that is coming up this week. I just got the email today, so I'll be working on that. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that COA is now collaborating with the fire department to help people at home who have smoke detectors, fire detectors in their house that need battery replacements or anything like that.
Do they supply the batteries?
We do not supply the batteries.
Okay.
However, if that should be an issue, of course, we can make things happen. I'd rather have
But they
somebody
put them
have
in
it.
for you.
Yes, yep, all they have to do is call me, and then I call the fire department, and then fire department calls out dispatch, and then,
Well, that's good to know.
yep, zing, and it's done. The other thing that I've been collaborating with Board of Selectmen Peg Stone with is the last 2 days we've have gone to Assabet and Tohoto High School to talk about a program for seniors in town and for youth. So in Sterling, there's a program, it's called Yahoo, and it's young adults helping others out. And basically what it is you get young adults and families in town for the spring, some of the spring weeks and fall weeks. And we send people out to seniors home or disabled. We're gonna open it up to disabled and help them with yard work. No housework, just yard work. And so it'll be like 5 Saturdays, and people can kind of, pick their days when they want to do it. It helps with community service, it helps with the seniors, it kind of builds community. So basically, we met with both the high schools the last 2 days just to see if they would, in fact, support us. And they were absolutely on board. Assabet was fantastic, and we ended up spending a lot of time with Assabet today. And he was telling me about all these other programs, like hair salons that could come here, and we could have a hair salon, they're people that do it. Plumbing people, all kinds of things. And before I knew it, I left with a stack like this of just information of people to contact that people that could work with us to have programs. So they just opened the door huge for us. So I'm excited about that. That's it. That's it on my end right now.
The hair salon thing sounds discriminatory. I suppose you have to have hair.
Well,
Just have to grow more, that's all.
Yeah.
you got enough to perm there,
Work on
Bob.
the beard, the slicked hair.
So that is pretty much it on my part.
Did you bring the warrants that were signed here in the month?
You know what? I didn't. But I always get confused. Well, not confused, but I always forget because I always think about rolling them all in. But I need to make a note to myself to do that.
I do have a.
You have them?
Well, I don't have a printout, but I got these. This is the expenses. And this is the donations account. And
Is it-
wages.
Is this a copy I can keep with the notes?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Okay.
We have them all
Okay.
put into our Excel.
You just love paper,
Um,
as long as I get them back.
Is there any other things that anybody would like to discuss or bring up while we're here? Oh,
I just want to note a potential opportunity for the COA to partner with Berlin Seniors and Northbrook Village and others. There is a new movement at the state and through AARP to become age-friendly communities. And it's a planning process that involves a lot of community stakeholders to develop a plan to make the community more age-friendly. So anything from like accessible sidewalks to maybe benches in the town center and things like that where the community would give input. There is potential funding that would be involved once the planning process is in place. And the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission would be happy to talk with the COA director and the Council on Aging about the process for becoming an age-friendly community. But that could be a potential opportunity to partner with these other groups.
That would be great. That would be great, because that, any way to get the word out, I think is beneficial to grow this department for sure.
Can I ask a quick question? Since all these things are approved now, when are we gonna advertise for driving?
So I think once we do the amendments on the description, right, the revisions, we can get those out. We can start
The
it.
driver job description.
Yep, and start advertising for the van driver, correct?
You haven't voted the van driver job description itself yet, correct? I think that's the one thing that you were holding on, it was the policies in the van driver job.
Oh, I thought that was the first thing that we did today.
Oh, you did the van driver?
We did policy.
Sorry, I missed that
So
one.
unanimous.
Yeah, we did the job description and, yeah, because I thought we did.
So
Am I-
those will go to the board now and the personnel committee.
Okay,
So who does the advertising?
That can be done through Holly.
so, and I'll work with, I assume Mary,
Yeah.
to get that out there?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's the personnel committee, so we
Okay.
can work on advertising and have it go to the personnel committee for the next meeting.
Okay,
Can I say one more thing? I just want to point out that when George resigned and wasn't driving anymore, Ginny finally came back on board because she'd been out with an injury. She came back on board. She only wanted to work on Wednesdays. She's now agreed to work Monday and Wednesdays, and last week she threw in Friday too.
right, yeah, she's definitely been helping us out for sure. She helped us go get the van when the van wasn't running, so that was really good. Mary Arata stepped up and helped us go get the van when the van wasn't running.
People really like Jenny.
Yeah. And just to mention, because I know sometimes we talk about Meals on Wheels, or we always talk about Meals on Wheels. So both Tuesdays and Thursdays, we are sending out 13 meals. So that's pretty good. So I have nothing more on my end.
Just one question is, where does news about opportunities and events in town come up? The only place I see them is in the Clinton item. And it typically only lists what's going on at the library and a couple of other things and sort of routine stuff.
So,
But it doesn't seem to be a specific listing of this is going on this day and
so the Powderhouse News will have things, I said recreation, the Council on Aging website has kind of like a what's happening events little tab, so that it's there. And then anything big, I usually share with Evie, and we kind of collaborate back and forth. And so I'll advertise anything that's going on over there, and she'll advertise anything that's going on over here.
any outreach to the Clinton item?
So,
That comes into
and I have not done the Clinton item, and not for any other reason than I simply forgot. But I definitely will. For some reason, working in Berlin, I forget to think about the Clinton item, and I know I shouldn't. And the other one is the neighborhood, is it Neighborhood Connect or something?
Berlin Neighbors Connect.
Berlin Neighbors, yeah.
Peter Hoffman.
Yeah, I had wanted to start making signs for the front door, as some of you may have seen, but they can be costly, $75, so I can't keep changing them out every time we have an event. But I can start utilizing, the front there's like a little kiosk type thing. There is a kiosk in the back.
Is that town flashing
I
and
was gonna say
singing
that.
being used
And
all
that's
the time?
down there.
Yeah, so, I mean, yes, we could definitely use that too. The My Senior Center software, what my goal is for that too, is once I get everybody put in there, they can do robocalls and let people know what's going on, so I can like leave a message on somebody's phone and it will say what's going on. But I have to make sure that I have enough people in there. And with 33% of our population being people 60 and over, it's gonna take me a little bit of a time.
Is the Powder House News still going out?
Yep.
You thought,
Huh?
you probably thought it had taken the powder, right?
You got that right?
No, it's been out bi-monthly.
Do we have to elect Bob as our leader of the
Well,
Council on Aging?
so the whole Council on Aging should vote on a chair. You're a vice chair, I
I
assume?
didn't know, but
I think I remember George nominating you.
It was one of those like, yeah, sure, I'll go.
all I know
Okay.
is this is
We
the
voted
committee that
it,
once you're
yeah.
on, you never get off.
You keep saying
Yeah.
that.
Proof of
Well, I'm
that.
telling you.
So we can certainly, or the board can certainly go forward if Bob's in agreement, or unless Ruth,
No, I'm not gonna get involved yet. Let me get my feet wet.
Just
You're
testing the
already
waters.
You're already involved, you were sworn in, weren't you?
yes,
Remember.
she's in.
You're in.
This is all new. This is a whole new world.
If I'm the Bob, you mean, I'm thinking I'm the newbie on the group, so it feels a little funny to be stepping into the,
Well, I'll tell you what, you've done a fantastic job so far today.
I mean,
You've always,
about an awful lot.
you've always kind of been involved with people in town. I used you with the calendar.
You did.
Yes.
So Fran,
I'm thinking maybe it makes sense to like have co-chairs for a while until the newbie knows
You
which
step
end is
up
up.
and you become the chair.
No.
Margaret,
One thing
is
is
that
I'm not
something
here.
that can be held off for until Bob is a little bit
Then
more
I'll be back.
comfortable?
Reorganization, sure.
Yep. So someone make a motion to have Bob, is it Bob or Robert? Which do you prefer? Either?
Just not Bobbert.
Be co-chair?
Sure, why not?
So we want,
I volunteer you.
I volunteer you.
so can we have a motion to have Pat and Bob co-chair, at least for the next month?
Motion to have Bob and Pat co-chair.
There you go. Got you right in on that,
Wait a
didn't we?
second.
Second.
Do we have to get pinky rings to know that we're?
Pinky
Oh,
rings.
why not?
I'm a low-grade thinker.
Okay.
I gave up my thinking power when I retired.
Okay.
Okay, that was unanimous.
I know, but I did retire 19 years ago. But I'm still working. I guess I'm
Aren't you
just,
still working?
yes,
Yeah.
I know, I'm just not too smart.
I want to talk to you
I think you
before
give yourself enough credit.
everybody leaves.
Okay. Are we good? Someone make a motion to
Make a
adjourn?
motion, we adjourn.
When's the next meeting?
Second.
Be the fourth Tuesday unless, or the last Tuesday of every month unless there's 5, then it's the fourth Tuesday.
Now, some of these girls might have commitments in the afternoon,
Right.
so we're going to have to make change. Well, I know, but when you have children, they have priorities.
I only have issues
Once it
when
gets
she's in
cold and we know
Boston.
more risk for AAA, we'll be good.
Yeah, by the way, I
Once
think I
it-
just got a mosquito bite in the middle of this meeting.
Once the first frost goes.
Okay, we're inside.
I don't know, I've had pants on all day.
The mosquitoes
And I have a
die
mosquito
yesterday,
bite
did you?
now.
No.
Was the motion approved?
Yes, want to second it?
I didn't hear no.
Kate seconded it. Did-
Yep, we need a all in
Yeah,
favor?
sorry, I'm quiet.
All in
Aye, aye,
favor, say
aye.
aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Me too.
There you go.